I remember the day they told me I was wasting my life. It was a cold, biting afternoon, the kind that seeps into your bones, and I was sitting in the living room, wrapped in a battered quilt my grandmother had made. I was trying to explain my latest project, a quilt that told stories, that carried our family's history woven into every stitch. My mother's eyes rolled so hard I thought they'd fall out, and my father scoffed. "That's cute," he said, voice tinged with dismissiveness. "But you're fooling yourself if you think that's going to get you anywhere. Quilting? That's old-fashioned, frivolous. You need to get serious. Focus on a real career." They weren't subtle about it. My siblings chuckled, calling my dream quilt nonsense, and I felt, for the first time, the full weight of their judgment pressing down on me. How they saw my passion as a joke, a pathetic hobby to amuse myself in my spare time. They told me I was an embarrassment, that I'd never make it, that my kind of useless craft had no place in a world that valued real work. I was told, in no uncertain terms, that I was foolish to think I could do anything meaningful with fabric and stories. That day, I felt my heart crack open, raw and bleeding with frustration and shame. I was young then, full of fire and hope, but also deeply wounded. I could have bowed to their ridicule, thrown my dreams into the dustbin of impossible, but deep inside, something refused. I knew I was onto something. My passion, my purpose was rooted in healing. Not just myself, but my community. I wanted to revive a heritage that had been dismissed and forgotten. To tell our stories through every stitch. But my family, they called that foolishness. So I quietly packed away the doubts and the tears and decided that silence and persistence would be my only weapons. I spent years mastering the craft, researching traditional quilting techniques, blending them with stories from my ancestors, and creating pieces that spoke in quiet, powerful voices. I traveled, I learned from elders, I embroidered hope into every cloth. Every setback, they told me I was wasting my time, that I'd never succeed, only fueled my determination. I knew that if I kept at it, eventually the world would see. And I was right. Years later I returned home, not the trembling girl clutching her battered quilt, but someone transformed. My work had blossomed into a movement, a healing revolution. The barren patches of land near my childhood home, once ignored and neglected, now bloomed with life. I used my heritage quilting skills to craft community projects, large tapestries, environmental quilts, installations that brought together people of all ages, reminding them of their roots and their potential to grow anew. Through these quilts, I rekindled stories long buried, stories of resilience, of love, of ancestors who had survived far worse than rejection. My work became more than fabric. It was a testament to human endurance, a living legacy, and I had built a thriving community around it, one that saw value in tradition, in storytelling, in healing through art. I had turned what they called frivolous into a force for change, but nothing prepared me for the day I saw them witness it firsthand. I arrived at our family gathering with a large, vibrant quilt, an intricate tapestry that told the story of our land, our people, our ancestors' struggles and triumphs. I carried it into the backyard, where everyone was gathered, the sun casting long shadows over familiar faces. My father looked up, skeptical as always, and my mother's eyes widened. Her expression betrayed curiosity and a flicker of something else, perhaps regret. I unfurled the quilt on an easel I'd set up, revealing a breathtaking mosaic of colors and stories. It was more than fabric. It was a mirror of our history, a testament to resilience. I began to explain the stories behind each panel, the ancestors who fought to keep their land, the community that rebuilt itself after every storm, the healing power of tradition and hope. And then it happened. My father, after years of dismissing my work as nonsense, stepped closer, eyes fixed on the quilt. The quiet dignity of the storytelling silenced usual chatter. One by one, my siblings and cousins approached, touching the quilt. Their faces visibly changed, their skepticism melting into awe. My mother, her hands trembling slightly, traced a family symbol embroidered into the fabric. Tears welled in her eyes. I saw recognition, perhaps even regret. In that moment, everything shifted. My family, who had once dismissed my dreams as frivolous, was witnessing the truth of my work, the power of heritage, the strength of community, the resilience of stories sewn into every stitch I'd crafted. They saw me, no longer the outsider, no longer the foolish dreamer. They saw what I'd become, a storyteller, a healer, a guardian of our collective past and future. I felt a surge of emotion, joy, relief, the ache of years wasted on doubt. But more than anything, I had proven to myself that dreams rooted in truth and purpose can defy any ridicule. That resilience is woven into us long before we realize it, sometimes hidden beneath layers of doubt. My success wasn't just in the quilts I made, but in the healing I brought back to my family, to my community, to myself. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow over the gathering, I looked at the faces around me, people I loved, people I was still learning to forgive for their past dismissiveness. And I knew with certainty that I had restored more than just a land or a family legacy. I had restored my own faith. I had turned rejection into redemption, ridicule into recognition, failure into triumph. And I realized that the real power of my story wasn't in the finished quilt, beautiful as it was. It was in every thread of hope and resilience, in every story sewn into the fabric of our lives. Because sometimes it takes a long journey through doubt and rejection to understand your worth. But when you finally stand tall, holding the tapestry of your truth, everyone who doubted you can only look on in silence, knowing that once seemed frivolous was, in fact, vital. That day, my family's eyes opened to the truth. My life had become a testament to the fact that passion, perseverance, and a little bit of faith can turn the most dismissed dreams into legacies. And I knew deep in my heart that I'd never stop weaving stories, no matter what anyone said. Because in the end, resilience is the most beautiful quilt of all.